Hey, this is Big Papa Pump Scott's Diner, and you're listening to Shoot the Shit.
The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Hey everyone, it's DDJ here with the Premiere Joey K. As you may notice, the hot one, Giovanni Tuhati, is not with us this week. We'll get into that a little bit later, but Joey K, how about this past weekend?
What an absolute wild ride that came down in a big pile of shit.
Yeah, but and this show here, we're going to have some fun today. We are going to touch on, obviously, the elephant in the room, but we're not going to spend too much time on it because we both agree that it's been talked to death and it really took away from a lot of the action. But
No. Fuck that. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room right now and what pissed me off about it the most. Because this is absolute ruined my weekend that Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs got cut so fucking short on that show. That's some bullshit.
Well, that wasn't the only match that got cut short on that show.
Fair, but still, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was, and I think that was a little bit of shocker. But we'll get into all out a little bit later. Give you some on site.
I mean, if I were one of those guys, I would be kicking down somebody's door ready for a fight too. So,
yeah. Well, obviously, cooler heads prevailed there.
And cheers to Larry.
Yeah, cheers to Larry. But no, it was a great show. I mean, a lot to talk about. Talk about some experiences hanging out with the hot one this past weekend, and just my weekend wrestling experiences and stuff. You ready? You ready to rock this?
Let's rock this bitch.
All right, here we go. Yes, that is right. It is DDJ, the 5-star trivia machine, and the Premiere Joey K. We're going to hold down the fort with you. Jovan's still recovering from this past weekend and getting caught up in that post-media scrum fight that seems to be dominating the headlines. And once again, like we talked about before we started the Open, it's a shame because it took away from what was otherwise probably one of the better, if not the best weekends we've had as wrestling fans in a really long time, because there was a lot of good action, and we're definitely going to be sure to talk about it. But let's just jump right into it. So for those of you that don't know, and I would probably assume everybody knows what happened at this time, big news coming out of this weekend was the big fight that happened after All Out, after the media scrum. Apparently CM Punk got into a fight with the Elite, and it was started after Punk made some comments towards the Elite. He basically took it upon himself to bring up the Colt Cabana situation and kind of, I think, caught TK off guard if you saw the reactions on his face as he was talking. And they led to a wild pull apart brawl that saw multiple people, including, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Brandon Cutler, Nakazawa, I think Christopher Daniels, that have been officially suspended. I believe it's been reported that Ace Steel is either going to be suspended or fired, and the same thing with Punk. Punk's got other problems to worry about actually as a result too, because I think it was just reported earlier today he tore like his bicep or his pec or something.
His tricep.
Yeah. But that was, I think, but now they're saying it was during the match with Mox. It wasn't as a result of the scrum, which I believe
it was, because if you go back and watch the match, there's a point where Punk's on the outside and he's like grabbing his elbow and he's feeling and touching underneath. So yeah. I saw something get hurt, and the tricep kind of matches up to that.
Yeah. But it's just a shame because, and like I said, I don't want to talk too much about it because everybody else has been talking about it to death. But it's really a shame because, like I said, it took away from such a really good weekend. And, it basically, honestly, you know what? I'll say it. It ruined the weekend. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. And I mean, I had an amazing weekend and I can't wait to share, my experiences with not only Joey K, but, our shooters out there and stuff. But it's a shame that what started out as such an amazing weekend of pro wrestling ended the way it did.
Yeah, because it did put a big damper on it. And not just the weekend, but AEW moving forward in general.
Mm-hmm.
And since, we'll touch on it a little bit here and I'll give my take on it. And DDJ, I'd love to hear your side on it too.
Right.
But you know what? Fuck everybody in that. From Tony Khan down. It's all their fucking fault. Everybody. Every single fucking person. And no, nobody should get fired because the real responsibility falls on Tony Khan's shoulders for that bullshit. If you go back and watch that, they start out asking questions about stuff that you don't want to have out in public. So that's on Tony Khan for running this fucking bullshit media scrum like it's some like fucking high class event. This isn't a post UFC press conference. This is for All Out. Who gives a flying fuck about some press media scrum thing? You start asking questions about Colt Cabana and that shit to an obviously pretty fired up, pretty angry, and injured CM Punk. You're going to get some fucking answers. You're going to hear some shit that you don't want to hear. And he dropped some fucking bombs. And you know what? Hey, good for him for doing it. Bad on him for fucking doing it publicly like that. He should have known better. And I'm sure in hindsight, he'll probably even admit that himself. Just like he's admitted a couple things, when he went off on that fan in that promo last week and he said he should have thought, he should have been above that and not stooped down to that when some jackass tried to get a Colt Cabana chant going.
Right.
So they're talking about personal shit. And you know what? Maybe Punk's right. Go back and watch that fucking face-to-face with Hangman where he talks about that shit. Obviously, Punk didn't want to bring it up on TV. And then it was brought up. And then he calls out the fucking Young Bucks and Kenny for it. Because it's the worst kept secret. Everybody knows. They fucking go right to Meltzer. They're all friends, and Meltzer puts shit out there. So you start seeing all these articles, and they start the trickle down effect. All the fucking news sites saying what they're going to say about, Punk did this to Colt Cabana, or he did that, he did this, he did that. And he said in the press conference, he doesn't give a fuck who he works for. I don't care who he works for, he doesn't work for, whatever. And you know what? In the end, Punk never got fucking Cabana fired. Which is the ironic part of all of this, which is what a lot of this shit came from, and, Punk has gripes with Hangman. Cool. Then settle your shit. Settle in the, outside of the public eye. But, that's on him. And then going after Hangman's friends who are out there. Oh, we'll get back at Punk, which shows you the level of fucking EVP, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean anymore. So that's all bullshit too. These bullshit made up titles, these bullshit made up fucking, fans who are like, oh, it's a work. It's not a work.
No, it's not.
To Punk, did Hangman go into business for himself? Punk says yes. I don't disagree. Is it on the onus of Tony Khan to control the fucking press conference? By the way, Tony Khan said we should have just said no comment and intervened, and he didn't. So that's on fucking him too, for having a legitimate news source start asking CM Punk questions about the fucking Colt Cabana issue, which should have been dead and buried already. But here we are, like Punk said, still talking about it. And then, here comes the Bucks and Kenny go into his room. And whether they broke in, kicked in, knocked politely, it doesn't fucking matter. They shouldn't have went in there. They shouldn't have fucking done a single thing to cause a confrontation with it. when he was all fired up about it. They should have just let it go, talked about it civilly later. We would have avoided so much fucking drama, because the real drama is this now. You have multiple people suspended. I mean, and look, it's like the curtain call. Were they going to fucking bury Sean for doing the curtain call? No. And everybody knows that low man on the pole was Hunter, and he got fucking buried. He got all the bullshit work and had to dig himself out of the fucking basement again. Right?
Yeah, he did.
So Punk's not going to get fired. Anybody who thinks Punk is going to get fired, you're a fucking moron. First of all, there's no way you're going to fire fucking CM Punk from your company unless he fucking went out there and literally stabbed somebody. Okay, like that's just the truth. That's a business decision. Will they suspend him? Yeah, without pay, what the fuck ever. Punk's got fucking plenty of money anyway. It doesn't matter. The Bucks and Kenny not going to get fired for this shit. Of course they're not. Four of the biggest fucking names in the entire company, you think they're going to... Tony Khan needs to fire him. Shut the fuck up. You know what? Punk went out there, said what he said. Did he say some shit that he shouldn't have? Obviously, he did. Did Hangman say some shit that he shouldn't have said? Yeah, he did. The fucking Bucks and Omega handle it like fucking children? Yeah, they did. What do you fucking expect? You're going to go in there and have a fucking sit-down chat? And from what I keep hearing, Ace Steel's wife, who has a broken foot, was in the fucking room with Punk.
Yeah, with the Punk's dog, taking care of Punk's dog.
I'll be straight with you. I'm a fan of the Bucks. I'm a fan of Kenny. But if you came in aggressive and were in front of my wife who couldn't move like that, I'd beat the ever-living fuck out of you. I'm sorry. I'm not going to fucking slap my thigh when I kick you. I'm going to beat the fucking shit out of you. So, to Ace Steel, he did what he felt was right. He did what he thought, defending his wife, however you want to spin it, it doesn't fucking matter. It happened. Who the fuck cares? Grow up. Get the fuck over it. Bottom line is this: they're all there to make money. This isn't a fucking friendship thing. This isn't a fucking, a brotherhood. We're all in this together. No, people are there to make fucking money. Make a business decision. Don't fucking ruin your business decision. That's why I said nobody's getting fucking fired over this. You think Tony Khan's going to lose out on millions of fucking dollars for losing either Kenny Omega or CM Punk or who the fuck ever? No, absolutely not. Ace Steel, on the other hand, maybe. They might fire Ace because they have to probably do something to somebody, and he's the low man out, so they're probably going to fucking shit can him, unfortunately. But hey, it is what it is. And it just put a whole black eye. It fucked everything in AEW up. You think anybody cared about seeing new trios champion on Wednesday night? No. And no offense, because that was actually a really fucking great match. And, Death Triangle, awesome. Congrats to them for being the new trios champions. But what a fucking way to win the title, because the champs were stripped for a backstage fight 3 nights prior.
Right.
That's absolute dog shit. And also dog shit is this whole AEW fucking championship tournament. You might as well not even have a fucking title. You did the whole interim thing for months. You come back, you unify the titles. Now you have another new champ. Then you take the title off him, and now there's another fucking tournament for another fucking champ. They absolutely fucking liquid shit the bed as far as watering down the AEW title. Oh, and surprise, fucking surprise. Look who's in this fucking thing. It's all they did was just build in storylines, build in to keep things going for a quick revamp. You think Darby or Sammy are going to do fucking anything? Absolutely not. If you do, fuck you, you're dumb. We have Moxley on one side, and you're probably going to have Bryan Danielson on the other. Obviously, he's going to get revenge because he lost it all out. So, I mean, it kind of writes itself, and it's kind of like, what the fuck are we doing? They don't know what they're doing. And that's not on Tony or anybody, because I don't think he knew that a fucking brawl was going to break out at the biggest show. But here we are. It kind of waters things down, and it really takes away from it. Mox had this impassioned speech about pro wrestling and all that shit. Cool, but it just felt like let's address the elephant in the room. We're only in this position because 4 guys had a fucking major disagreement.
Yeah, and it's just we're talking about this, and what there's a lot of other things from that show that should be being talked about. He talked about
By that, I'll tell you. Let me tell you real quick. My plan for this week's show was going to start out with two things that stood out most to me, and it had nothing to do with a backstage fight until all that shit happened, and it put a damper in it. My first point was going to be the fucking Acclaimed have arrived.
Yes.
Amazing match. They're so fucking over. And just every fucking time you see them,
I've got a little bit of a hot take about that match here that I'm going to bring up once you're done.
Absolutely. And my other big point, which we'll touch on shortly, but WWE put on their best show they've had all year.
Yep.
Including WrestleMania.
Yeah.
WrestleMania had great moments, great highlights, but overall was not a better show than Clash at the Castle. And I will fucking stand by that. That's the first WWE live event, premium event, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's a pay-per-view to me still. That's the first one I've watched 100% start to finish and was not like, I could have skipped this. I could have skipped that.
Yeah.
That was a top to bottom great fucking show.
Yeah.
And those were the things I was going to bring up. But now it's like you guys are fucking team Kenny and the Bucks or your team fucking Punk. And it's like, what the fuck, guys? This isn't high school. Like, this is bullshit. I want to see my favorite wrestlers on weekly television.
Yep.
Now, granted, yes, Punk's probably hurt now and going to be out for however many months with surgery again, which sucks. But that shit happened in the match. That had nothing to do with, anything else. So, and things like that happen a lot, particularly this year in AEW. But, we got to talk about like now you're missing 4 of your biggest fucking stars from the show. Now you got to rearrange everything. How about taking this off? Here's a hot take for you. As much fucking heat and shine that the rekindled CM Punk MJF feud got, and then 2 hours later, it's completely dead because Punk's out and gone.
Yep.
Injury aside, yeah, I know, whatever. Let's just say he wasn't injured. Seriously, are you fucking kidding me? Like, Mox versus MJF doesn't do it for me. It really doesn't, and I don't think that's just not the direction they wanted to go. They literally built the fucking promo. You were there in the arena. The promo package that included CM Punk in it from a Ring of Honor promo.
Yeah.
Talking about the devil. You're going to tell me they didn't build this entire fucking MJF return, which we talked about months ago, to come back at CM Punk now for the title? Come on.
Right.
Come the fuck on. All of it to be thrown away 2 hours later because everybody, yes, Punk included, everybody was super fucking selfish in that moment.
Yeah. And see, one of the things that you just brought up is something that should be like water cooler conversation everywhere, and that is the return of MJF.
Oh, yeah.
And the way they built it up, you start out with that ladder match. And, you have the 7 guys that were advertised in the match and then, all of a sudden you see all these match guys come out and it kind of brought back, it was giving me, I was going through, Retribution Relapse.
Yeah, that shitbag faction that lasted about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and stuff. But then you started seeing them unmasking, and you're seeing Austin and Colton Gunn. You're seeing Lee Moriarty. You're seeing Ethan Page. You're seeing W. Morrissey, who debuted at just made his AEW debut and looks just jacked.
Good for him too.
Absolutely,
he's had some fucking real tough times.
Yeah,
since the WWE release.
Yeah,
so good for him for fucking being in that shape, getting in that spot, and being featured on an All Out and on Dynamite this past week.
Yeah. And then, last but not least, you see one more masked man climbing the ring and grabbing the chip, and he takes the mask off, and it's Stokely Hathaway.
Oh yeah.
And then, and I remember sitting in, I pretty much sat with Jovan the whole time, and just kind of going around with hanging out with all my friends that were in the suite we were in as well too. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world is going on? And then all of a sudden, lights go out, and then you hear "Sympathy for the Devil" by the Rolling Stones, and then you see this guy come out. And to me, the first thing I thought of when I saw this guy with the mask and everything is he looked like one of the bad guys from the Spider-Man PS4 video game. Like the way that mask looked like a bad guy from the Spider-Man PS4 video game and stuff. And I'm thinking, like, what the heck? And I'm like, oh, this is, and then like, wait a minute. And then it started clicking, because I'm hearing the music, and it's a great song, by the way.
Great song, and a perfect way.
Yeah, props to Tony Khan for, shelling out the money to license "Sympathy for the Devil" by the Rolling Stones.
Agreed.
And then,
let me ask you this. Now, you were there, so I saw the angle on my TV, and I don't know if he tried to hide it, but as soon as he started walking and moving the way he got in the ring, I was like, it's fucking MJF. But I had the up close camera. Yeah. You guys did.
They had one of the cool things about the suite was they did have like a TV in the suite with that they were showing the feed. You couldn't hear the audio, but they had the feed. It wasn't HD or 4K, so man, Jovan, I was whining to Jovan about that. I'm sure he'll tell you about that when he comes back.
Oh my god, I can't wait to hear. I want to hear I want to hear. You can tell me a little bit, but I want to hear the stories with both of you guys on the show.
Oh man,
we're gonna have to hold off.
There's a lot of them, but probably one of the best stories will be when we talk about that tag title match, and stuff. But I'm just sitting there thinking, I was like, okay, so I like this. It kind of plays in because we were all trying to figure out who's the Joker. Is MJF showing up? It's like, oh, there's no way he can be the Joker, because he's going to show up at the end of the night. But I actually like the way they did it because, he went to take the mask off and then he's like, and stuff. So it's like, okay. But then when they did the promo at the end of the night, after Punk won, and you saw him coming, I was like, okay, this is the big reveal. And man, when he took that mask off and he put on that scarf and when his music hit, that place went ape shit crazy.
It came through. It came through on the TV. I was like, that is a massive fucking pop for MJF.
Yeah. And it was, and there are people out there saying, and this really irked me because there's this guy that I've known on Facebook for a while. I'm not going to give his name out and stuff. But he was going around saying something along the lines of like, oh, because, MJF got this pop that, Chicago apparently doesn't love CM Punk anymore. If you had been in that arena was still like during the course of that match was decidedly pro CM Punk. Like there was some people, there was a noticeable amount of Mox fans because there were the Mox chants and stuff. I was part of it. I was actually rooting for Mox, but I mean, it's just people have been waiting for MJF to come back since what was it, May?
Yep,
since Double or Nothing Weekend. Going to get that monster pop.
Out of respect, because it is a friend of yours.
I mean, it's not. He's more of an acquaintance. We'll just leave it.
Well, fuck him then, because that is the same kind of typical bullshit of the people going, "Fire CM Punk. He doesn't have it anymore anyway." Or let me go. See, Kenny and the Bucks are right about everything. They're the best. I only listen to Meltzer. That's the same kind of fucking twat waffle that says that kind of shit. That's like, oh, Chicago doesn't love Punk anymore. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
Like, did you not listen? Because I had a clear audio on my fucking screen, and Punk coming out, albeit the trunks aside, but Punk coming out, what the fuck, dude? That place went absolutely fucking nuts like it always does. But you have a big return. And you know what? Part of that pop for MJF is because we're getting MJF Punk 2. Like the second round of this feud. Well, I meant the second round of the feud.
Yeah.
Not match-wise. but the second coming of the feud. So to me, Punk MJF 2, as far as the feud and the buildup is going to go.
Right.
That's what that fucking pop was for.
Right.
Because MJF is still going to be the same fucking absolute asshole heel that he always is, which is fantastic, by the way. Couldn't come at a better fucking time. But Jesus Christ, man, people are just so. It's either I hate somebody so much so everybody else has to hate them with me. And that's the thing. Look, do I side more with Punk in his feud? Well, Punk made some really fucking good points about Hangman and about Colt Cabana and about some other shit. And that's his personal shit, and that's fine. But at the same time, I never said I'm not a fan of Kenny and the Bucks. That match was fucking great.
Yes, it was.
The fucking trios match was awesome. Kenny looked fucking phenomenal to me. You know, I was excited and happy he was back. I was excited for where we're going to go with the trios titles finally. So I'm disappointed in everybody for the whole fucking situation. But, you know, if you side with Punk and what he said, fuck you. Or you side with Kenny and the Bucks, well, fuck you. Like, no, man, it's just disappointing for wrestling in general. And no matter who you side with, it doesn't matter.
So real quick before we kind of go into the rest of All Out, because like I said, I've got a really good take, or I would say pretty interesting take on that tag title match. So like you said, we explained, you know, that Giovanni's not with us this week because he got caught up in the fight. He actually sent me some video that he managed to get. I don't know how he did this because we separated because I had to get my buddy home, back to my house so he could get back home because he had an hour and a half drive from my house to get home after the show and stuff. So Giovanni kind of went off. We said our goodbyes after the show ended and stuff. But Giovanni sent me this video, and I think everybody be interested to know because he got a little bit of a interesting perspective on this fight. He actually got some footage. So what do you say? Let's play the footage.
So we have a fucking exclusive from this backstage brawl that everybody's been just yapping about for days.
Yeah, this is a Shootin' Shit exclusive. You think we should roll it?
Let's fucking go. Let's put it on.
All right.
Something Double D! You're the top guy!
You fucking marks.
Oh man.
I like seeing Big Sexy standing tall at the end of that brawl.
And I'm gonna say, Jovan and I had a lot of fun hanging out this weekend, and we'll have some stories from, you know, All Out. We'll have some stories from the GCW show that we both were at and stuff. But kind of going back into the actual, because now I think we're done talking about the fight and everything. Let's talk about the good stuff that happened this weekend, and let's start out with that tag title match. And I'm gonna give my hot take right here and now. To me, that's AEW's match of the year so far.
Wow. That's a bold statement, Cotton.
Let's see if it works out.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you 100% since that's the first time I've heard this take and I would have to think back a little bit, but it's easily in the top 3 for me.
And I will tell you this from someone who was in that crowd from the time the Acclaimed came out, they went crazy and just, oh man, it's just like they honestly, the one bad thing about this match was that the fact that the Acclaimed did not win, because that place would have blown, like the roof would have been blown sky high. Just I know you watched it and stuff, but man, I don't think I've ever been a part of a crowd that was as lively for a match as that match right there was.
I want to say I was surprised at how good the match is, but I wasn't, because it was what I was hoping for. I've been super critical of Keith Lee and Swerve as tag team champs, but the Acclaim came out. They were the obvious face of this match. And, you know, to the credit of Keith Lee and Swerve, they fucking were like, okay, we're going to be the heels in this match.
Swerve especially.
And they and they played their part so fucking perfect to where that's why the crowd was so hot. All 4 of them came out, listened to the crowd, knew what was happening around them, and they fucking played it so good. And that's why it's like, oh my God, like that place would have went nuts if the Acclaimed won. And honestly, though, props that they didn't, because that feud continues on now.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
get
they
the
were.
rematch, I
It
believe,
was like
at,
this close,
Yep.
this close of a match. So it made everybody look good. Obviously, Keith Lee and Swerve look great. They played that heel part for this match perfect, even though they've been a face team for a while now. The Acclaim came out, in my opinion, stole the fucking show.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, if I can say this, the absolute show stealer of the night was the Acclaimed.
Oh, absolutely.
And just how we talked in the first half of the year belonged to FTR. This sets up the Acclaimed to be, for the second half of the year, the Acclaimed are the fucking breakout of the second half of the year.
Yeah.
Which is really great for AEW's tag team division.
Absolutely.
To have another team that is breaking out like in an FTR type sense, that's marketable, basically homegrown.
Yeah.
They're catchy, they're fun, they can work. Jesus Christ. I read before this, so many people, like Bowen selling the fucking injury.
The knee injury?
Yeah, like so good. So fucking good. You know, the commentary for it, playing up saying, you know, that's the thing with Bowen. Can he stay healthy? He can't stay healthy. And they fucking played it in the match that way. So great. It was just a fucking great match. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna disagree, but I will easily put it in top 3 pending further review. But it could very well be the match of the year for AEW so far. And now it builds because we're getting the rematch. So we're getting the rematch in a couple weeks, and that is going to be great.
Yeah. And so the first story that I got to share from our suite that is literally from that match on, we were literally scissoring our you-know-whats off.
I don't doubt it. You bunch of fucking freaks.
Yeah.
That was a highlight of the show. For a show that had a lot of fucking highlights.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
And also too, I think Scissor Me Daddy Ass has become the new Suck It.
Yes.
And that's so okay, so here's a question for you.
Okay.
What do you think's the worst thing to go up to, like, for someone who's, like, say in high school? What do you think's the worst thing to go up to your teacher and say? Suck it or scissor me daddy ass?
Look, I'm still gonna go with the one that I got in trouble for, which is suck it, because the implication is very much there. Scissor me daddy ass. There's a lot more humor to it between the two parties involved.
Yeah.
When you're telling somebody to suck it. Yeah. I think the undertones there are,
and a lot of the guys that like Jovan and everyone's like, oh man, DDJ, you should get a Scissor Me Daddy Ass shirt.
Number one shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah.
So shop AEW.
The thing is, I can't wear it when I take my son to school. I can't wear, like,
why?
What if my 7-year-old son comes up to me and asks, what does that mean?
You'd be fucking proud.
I don't know, but like, I discretion's the better part of valor in this situation for me, which is why I won't be getting that shirt at the time. But it was so much. I mean, literally, we were all. It was just so much fun. Everybody was getting into it, you know, the scissoring and just everything. But like you said, there was a lot of good stuff. I mean, you mentioned the trios title match was really good. The House of Black versus Sting, Darby, and Miro was pretty good. You had the 4-way for the women's title match was surprisingly really good. I know you're not too thrilled with the result, And I think
don't.
and the one thing I will say about that match, that crowd wanted Jamie Hayter to go over.
Oh, for fucking sure. Also, hold on a second. Not to bring up fucking old subjects here, but everybody's up fucking Punk's asshole about shit that he said. How about fucking Tony Storm throwing Thunder Rosa under the fucking bus and talking shit on her and Tony Khan chuckling along with it like a fucking child? And nobody's really talking about that too much.
Well, I don't think anybody's really talking about anything else other than that fight. It's literally.
Yeah, and I'm like, talk about a little unfucking professional. People are gonna fucking get on CM Punk's dick for calling Hangman Page a know nothing fuck. Like, basically, Tony Storm just shit on the fucking AEW Women's Champion while she's out hurt, allegedly. Whatever is going on with her. Although now there's reports that she's asking for a release and she wants to be done with AEW. As is Malachi Black now.
Yeah, and the thing with Malachi, it seems like it's more of like he just wants, he's apparently going through some, mental issues or struggles or whatever, which is something, none of us are going to joke about because we've all had our,
No, I agree because that's a very serious thing. But it's just a little weird to me that you see some really big names in AEW start asking for their releases. There's a huge backstage brawl. There's chaos of who's even going to show up on Wednesday night, who's suspended, who's not. There's a lot of fun. For as great of a show as All Out was, the bigger black eye than the fucking brawl is the curtain's coming down, and it is not all fucking sunshines and rainbows.
The honeymoon's over.
100%. I mean, we went from WCW in 1997 to WCW in 2001 real fucking fast.
Yeah. And Tony Khan needs to step up and, he needs to be everybody's boss instead of everybody's friend.
Yeah, we've talked about that for years now. And you reap what you sow.
Right.
Like, you're running it like All Friends Wrestling to steal it from a person that a lot of people hate, but it really can't be. Somebody needs to be in charge. Somebody needs to lay down some shit and some rules and say, this is how we're doing it, guys. And stop giving out fucking, you're an executive vice president. You're executive vice president. And just be like, no, this is my money. This is my fucking show. This is my company. This is what we're going to do.
Right. I agree. So, but anything else you want to bring up from All Out?
No, I think the biggest highlights, I think we kind of talked about actually before the obviously post-match bullshit, I thought the Punk Mox match was really good.
Oh, very good. Very good.
I thought it was really, really great. It was a great match to have in Chicago. I did think, I don't think there was a weak match on the card. It was just my one big gripe will be what I said at the beginning of the show. Matches getting cut short. We're not getting some features that we thought we were going to get.
Yeah.
And a special fucking shout out. We're going to go back to fucking 0 Hour. And I'm just going to throw this down there. Ishii versus Kingston was the exact fucking thing that I prayed and hoped to the wrestling gods to watch. And it was beautiful. And some people hated it and some people shit on it. And that's okay. Because if that's not your style and you don't know what they were going for there and you're not into that, totally cool. But I fucking am. And I was all for that shit.
Yeah. And you bring that up. And one of the story, I'll bring up a story from the Fan Fest. One of the last meet and greets I did was actually with Eddie Kingston. And first off, Eddie Kingston's cool as hell. Like, he's like
fucking awesome.
Chill down there guy. I was in the line doing another meet and greet. I think it was with Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan. And like, the Kingston line he was going through the line pretty quickly, but I mean, it wasn't like he's like, signed pitcher by, like he would talk to people and stuff. It just kind of went through, but it was like, the line I was in, it was just going so much slower because I think there were a lot of, let's just say, wrestling fans, and I'll just leave it at that. And you know the kind that I'm talking about, that just seemed like they were trying to take up too much of the time of the baddies. So by the time I finally got through, Kingston's line was empty. And what they did was, if there was like talent, doing a signing and there wasn't anyone in line, they would kind of go behind the curtain, that kind of thing, go off if like they had to use the bathroom and stuff. So I just yelled out, like I was like next in line, and Kingston's line is finishing up, and he was kind of going back. And I talked to one of the guys that was working his line, and there was a lot of independent wrestlers kind of helping out and stuff. Like one of them's a friend of mine who actually wrestled on Dark this week. His name is Jordan Cross. Real good dude. And then there's another guy that I'd seen at a few shows. His name was Ryan Matthews. He actually, last time I saw him at a show, he got force choke slammed by Darth Vader. So, which was pretty cool.
I remember that. That was good.
Yeah. And stuff. So I yelled over to him. I was like, "Hey, can you just, tell Eddie I'm actually heading right?" Or Eddie was getting ready. I was like, "Hey, Eddie, I'm coming right over there. Can you just hang out for a minute or something?" Oh, he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I went over there. After I was done with the baddies, I went over there to, say hello to him. I was like, "Here, let me get out my ticket and stuff." It's like, "Oh no, dude, you're good and stuff." I mean, I paid for the meet and greet. It wasn't like I was trying to snake one or something, but he was like really cool. I sat and talked to him, and I asked him about the match against Ishii, and he was looking forward to it, but he knew exactly what he was going into. And he said, "Man, after that match, I'm not going to feel, very good at all." And you brought that up, and I just thought about that. But no, Kingston, probably out of all the talent that I interacted with that day, was probably the coolest one that I interacted with. So,
That's awesome, man. That is awesome.
Speaking of awesome, let's go to and I don't think we've said this very often on this show, but let's go to WWE, because I think as good as All Out was, WWE put on a show that a lot of people probably say was even better. And we can talk about that. I just briefly touch on the NXT show Worlds Collide. You said you didn't watch it, but it was a really good showcase. It kicked off with a banger between Carmelo Hayes and Ricochet. The women's three-way unification match was good. We got a shocker in the Fatal 4-Way Tag Title unification match, and Braun versus Tyler Bate was a really good match. Definitely, guys, if you didn't get a chance, Joey K, I'm talking to you as well too. If you get some time, go watch Worlds Collide. It's really good, and stuff. But let's talk about Clash at the Castle. I like you and I were saying this before. I'm going to say it was definitely the best show from start to finish that WWE has done this year. And I mean, there, like you said, you yourself said, what did you say? How you put it? Like, there wasn't anything you watched that explain your take on it.
Like, so up to this point, my favorite WWE show this year was WrestleMania, but there was definitely WrestleMania points where it was like, okay, bathroom break, don't care about this, can do something else, whatever. Clash of the Castle was one where it was like, even the matches that I wasn't super high on, still delivered and was still really good to watch. MVP match of the night, obviously for me, Gunther versus Sheamus. That fucking crowd was bananas. It was just an old school, hard hitting, two meaty men slapping meat in the middle of the ring, and it was fucking awesome.
Absolutely.
I did love having Gunther retain the title, because I think that's great. I mean, to start it out, the start. I'm just going to say this. Out of any match I watched this weekend, the start to that match was fucking epic. Having Imperium and
Brawling Brutes.
Yeah, facing off, battling each other, while Sheamus and Gunther just stood still, face to face.
Absolutely.
And then the ring clears, and then we get the match. Like, that was just they did that so fucking well. The crowd was so hot on Sheamus. And again, a guy who's been a heel for the past few years. You hear the crowd, you listen to the crowd, you know what you have to do. And Sheamus worked the fucking match as a babyface. And it was just fucking great. Like that, I mean, can't say enough about it. I love the finish because, again, Sheamus still looks strong even in the loss. The crowd was just so much of that match, which was really great. That was a huge highlight for me. The fucking Dominic Mysterio turn. Thank you. Finally, it was just great. I don't know if you saw somebody post the video. It was basically a callback to when fucking Eddie turned on Ray.
Yes, I saw that, and I really like that. Yeah,
I was like, the fucking mullets there. It was just poetic. I loved it. Edge. Fucking Edge.
Yes,
Edge Edge taking the dick shot and then just looking up at like Dominic, like, why? As he fell.
Yep.
Just chef's kiss.
That's I was just going to say, as you brought it up, the way Edge sold that kick was just like my buddy Sean, who came up from down near Bourbonnais, Illinois, which is like said about an hour and a half south of where I live. He came up and stayed with me this past weekend. And we watched. We started watching after we got back from GCW. We watched the first couple matches of Clash, which included the 6-woman tag, and then the Sheamus Gunther match. But then we watched some more after we got up in the morning before because we went and met my wife and son for breakfast before heading off to the festivities for All Out. And we watched the turn, and we all knew it was coming at some point, but that didn't take away from just how masterfully done it was and stuff. And I really liked too the way they followed it up on Raw with Edge like, I want to beat Dominic's ass, and Ray's like, you know what, he's still my son, he was like trying, and I figured that was the way to go. You didn't want to see Ray come out and be like, oh, I want to beat my kid's ass and stuff, like, because you could tell the race conflicted, and I'm anxious to see how this coming week on Raw, and I can't believe we're talking about actually looking forward to Raw, which is great.
When the fuck have we said that?
Yeah. But I mean, you get, because it's this coming up on Raw this week, it's going to be Edge versus Dominic Mysterio. So I'm really anxious to see how Ray, factors into this.
And what a fucking jolt for Judgment Day.
Absolutely.
A group that I think we all three of us, and even speaking for Javon, ended up floundering after they kicked Edge out, which, I mean, they were taking losses. It was just like not a way to build up a dominant heel faction, but now an entire new shot of life with the Dominic Mysterio turn. And it's like, fuck, this is great. Like, it helps out Judgment Day. Edge and Ray are going to be fucking Edge and Ray. There's a reason they're some of the greatest of all time. And it gives the fucking kids something to do in this mix. Yeah. That's different, that people want to see him.
Absolutely.
I mean, great booking. Overall, I mean, I thought those are some of my highlights. And of course, I'm not huge on Drew McIntyre, but the fucking match was great. Drew and Roman did what fucking Drew and Roman do, had a killer fucking match. And then the big surprise, because the only brother that could probably get a passport into the country, Solo Sikoa showing up, fucking newest member of the bloodline. I'll top you, DDJ. I'll top you and say I'm excited for SmackDown and Raw at this point, because
it's just I'm with you in that, because it is so great to see, because there's no kind of going back to this, the majority of wrestling fans is like, oh, you can only like one organization. Me, you, and Giovanni, and I'll speak for Giovanni here because I'm sure he would echo these sentiments. We're not just fans of one, kind of wrestling. We're fans of all the different kinds of pro wrestling. We want everyone to succeed.
We do. And that's the thing. And don't ever let what I say misconstrue here. If something is shitty to me, I'm going to say it's shit. I'm not a fan of NXT because I think it's gone downhill. WWE's product for a long time has been a real shitty product and doesn't interest me.
It has been.
But at the same time, AEW puts on a shitty show. I'm going to tell you, AEW has a shitty show.
And you have done that.
And so when I'm telling you, this was a good show. That's me. It's just what I like. I can like WWE. You know how much WWE shit I have in my fucking house? You know how long I've been a fan of WWE product?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm happy. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Guys are on TV. They're having great matches. We're getting fucking just real good work across the board. I'm excited for it. So yeah, it's nice, and it's nice. Competition is always nice. It steps everybody's game up.
Yeah. And you talked about, the main event, like I said, there was not a bad, heck, even Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler was decent.
Yeah, God, how do I say this without sounding like a fucking dickhead? Yeah, well,
you sound like a dickhead regardless. So what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. I had a brief moment there, but truth be told, I was not super hot on that match, and it ended up turning out to be a very respectable, decent match to me. Even that match where I've been super critical of like the women's division in AEW and WWE recently, especially, when we compare it to Impact women's division, but fuck, that was a good match too.
Yeah,
that was a really fucking solid match. I liked what was happening in it.
Yeah, there was not a bad match or a dull moment in that card. And shout out to that crowd, because that crowd was hot throughout the whole show. And like the thing is kind of going back to a little bit of All Out. After that tag title match, the crowd did not recover until that main event, and I'm sure that probably came across on TV. Mm-hmm. But like from the moment that they went live to the moment they ended that show in Cardiff, that UK crowd was on fire. And our very own John Scott was in the crowd, so I hope I'm sure I haven't had a chance to talk to him about his experience at the show. Maybe we can get him on to talk about it and stuff. But he was in the crowd and had a lot of good things to say about it as well, too.
Fuck yeah. No, it was a solid show. And we've said it a few times now. Like from Clash at the Castle being a really, really great WWE show. Like you said, NXT Worlds Collide was a really great show. All Out was a great show. Top to bottom. It's just so shitty that the weekend ended the way it did.
And we talk about all this stuff. I haven't even gotten a chance to talk about, because obviously not as many people probably saw this, but go out of your way if you get a chance to find something online. But man, the GCW show, that outside of the fact that the arena where they had it was like a freaking like a sauna, because they didn't have air conditioning. It was like a field house or something like that, and you were like literally were drenched in sweat unless you stepped outside.
It's just, everything you're describing is just literally what I see on fucking Fight TV when I order GCW. So that's perfect.
But for my first GCW show, it was a hell of a show. There's a lot of guys who I'm not familiar with, there's, so I've got a lot of, I've got to educate myself a little bit more. I'm going to try to, because it definitely won't be the last time I go to a GCW show. I actually got to meet Nick Gage after the show. First off, he got a monster pop when he came out before the main event.
Hold on. So I saw the picture you posted with Nick Gage.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have to recast Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory again, because I've never seen Nick Gage at a live show. So has he always been that short? Because I was like, oh, look, DDJ's with his son. He must have gotten to his first fight at school. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why are you so much taller than him? This doesn't seem fucking right.
It's the magic of camera work, man.
Oh my God. That was great.
I will say this. For Nick Cage, like if you ever get a chance, meet him, because he is a very down to earth, very humble, very appreciative, I think, of what he has. I told him, I met him after the show, he did a meet and greet. I'm glad I got in line when I did because I was like, maybe there's like 5 people in front of me because I went and got in line right before the main event ended. And literally as soon as the show ended, the line just blew up and stuff. But I went up to him and, I shook his hand. I said, hey, how you doing? I said, this was my first GCW show. And he asked me, he's like, oh, what'd you think? I said, oh my God, I had so much fun. It will not be my last. And, he was very appreciative. He thanked me and everything and stuff. And funny thing is I ran into the guy that does the ring announcing for GCW.
Yeah.
Dude is like unlike any other ring announcer out there. And I love it that way because I ran into him before All Out. And I went up to him and I said, oh, man, you were awesome last night. He was very appreciative. I said, that was my first GCW show. And then he told me about the next time they're going to be back in the Illinois area and stuff. But just it was so cool because not only did I get to meet Nick Gage, there were a few other wrestlers that in a very small area, I will say, but like had some merch stand set up. You had Bussy, you had a couple of the luchadors, and this was the guy that me and Giovanni Tuhati came to see. We got to meet old Manser himself. And Manser
is he cool?
He is cool as cool as could be. He's every bit the person that he's portrayed on TV, the redneck from wherever in Tennessee he's from, but very nice guy, very, like he'd be the kind of guy that you could easily see yourself, sitting at a bar having a beer with and like shooting the shit, to steal our show, the title of our show. But I walked out of that being an even bigger fan of old Manser. Hopefully, maybe we can get him on the show sometime because I think that would be a hoot.
Oh yeah.
But just the men and women out there that went out there, and I mean, it wasn't just the men that were hardcore. There were some women that like got hardcore. Obviously, he had Alley Catch in the War Games match, but then you had there was I can't remember the names.
She's fucking wild. I love her.
Yeah, and there were 2 women. They had a match with 2 women, and I can't think of who they are. There's one with like short black hair. I think she wore like pink and black or something. I think she might have been from Australia or something like that. She sounded like she had a little bit of an accent. And then there was this woman that was probably like 6'5" or something like that. And they went out there and just beat the holy hell out of each other. Light tubes aplenty in that match. Both women were bleeding profusely. And it was just everybody that went out there gave it their all, man. And it's just
that's awesome.
It's GCW. It's not for everyone, but man, I tell you what, if you want to go have a good time and just watch some men and women go out there, just go freaking crazy, and just leave it all in the ring. Go see GCW show. It is this era's ECW, and I want nothing but the best for them because there's a lot of good men and women there that do literally blood, sweat, tears, whatever you want to call it, to entertain us. And I walked away from that show like, what, I definitely am going to give GCW some more of my time because they have the death matches. Yeah, they do the light tubes and the glass and everything. But if you look at the other matches, I mean, it started out with a 7-person 2-ring ladder match where where I thought there was nothing to climb the ladders for. I believe Janela got the win in that, but it was entertaining. And then you got to see guys like Speedball Mike Bailey. I'm trying to think who else, but it was a fun show. And I mean, just sitting there with, Giovanni and, our buddy Ty, who we talk a lot about on the show. And then my buddies Patrick and Sean also came, and and that was probably my favorite experience from the whole weekend, is just being able to have fun with my friends, man. Just watching something and experiencing something that we all love, that you and I love, that the people that listen to this show love. And I haven't even gotten a chance to talk about FanFest for an extensive period of time. Every meet and greet I had, every wrestler there seemed like they were really enjoying themselves. I got this really kick-ass limited edition Mox figure signed by Mox in person.
That's awesome.
And stuff. Hell, I even got called out on. I got called on stage with Mark Henry and Dave LaGreca while they were broadcasting Busted Open. I know they mentioned me while on there because my buddy Jimmy, who's an avid diehard Busted Open fan, messaged me saying, "Oh my God, I heard them talk about you and stuff." But just all in all, just what a not taking into account what happened at the end of the weekend. But just everything leading up to that point was just created such an epic weekend. It was everything I had hoped it would be, and then some.
Very cool, man. I'm glad you guys had a great time. That was awesome.
There are only two people missing from that show: you and my cousin Jerry. I think you guys would have just made that weekend even just that much more epic. But we got some stuff in the works that we've talked about getting together. Just make sure come WrestleMania 40 time, you're paid up on your homeowner's insurance.
Pay it every month, buddy. Don't worry.
Speaking of homeowners insurance, quick shout out to the homeowners insurance me and my wife have on this house. A couple of weeks ago, you know what happened with the tree limb falling in our yard and having to get that removed and paying the electrical stuff. We got word a few days ago that homeowners insurance is paying. We're gonna get our money back from what we had to pay for that stuff. So,
dude, that's awesome. That is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Not say it on here, but you told me how much certain things were, and I was like, well, fuck, man.
But it was stuff that we had to take care of.
Jesus Christ. No, I agree. I get it. But like, when you're throwing around certain figures, I was like, okay. So that's a fucking huge win that, homeowners is covering that shit.
Yeah. So we're a little over an hour in. I think we accomplished with this show that I think we wanted to accomplish.
Yeah. I think we touched on the highlights of the weekend.
Yeah. There were a lot of them.
Oh yeah. Some highlights, some lowlights, some midlights.
Some headlights. Some headlights if you watch the GCW show in Chelsea Green.
Did read about that, yes.
I saw it live.
Nice.
I will say that I was like, I'm not gonna say I was not disappointed.
Hey, Cardona.
He done all right for himself.
Way to go, pal. Way to go. Actually, you know what? We're doing this jokingly, but Chelsea's such a fucking cool person. So I met her at fucking at Final Battle.
Yeah.
Was it Final Battle that I met her? Was it Final Battle or was it? I met her last year at Ring of Honor. What the fuck ever. Okay. She is so fucking cool and just genuinely sweet. Yeah. So she's just an awesome person in general. So yes, this is all in fun and joking about it, but yes, she is super fucking cool though.
My buddy Patrick, who is happily married to an awesome lady, was very pleased because he's a huge Chelsea Green fan. So I joked with him. I said, I told him, I was like, you guys have seen that picture of Randy Marsh going around that goes around the internet. It's the subject of a lot of memes, from the when he's on the computer. And I jokingly said to Patrick, I should be like, that's totally you after seeing what we saw.
That's great.
And then our buddy Ty, who's like the ultimate like fan of the women and the divas out there and stuff. I think he actually missed it live because he was doing something and he was distracted and we were all like, whoa. And then like, I think he caught it just as that segment was over, but so he was kind of miffed, but I don't remember who it was in one of our chats did it right when I guess apparently Chelsea tweeted or sent out a picture that kind of gave you an even closer look and he got that. So he was good after that.
We'll
just awesome. Leave it at that.
Fucking savages.
But nothing else for you, Joey K?
No, I think that's it. So for all the ladies in accounting, the boys back in catering, and all you know nothing dumb fucks. Come on. I have to shout it out. You want to know why?
Oh boy.
I'll show you why. We're gonna go down a little bit here. That's why, bitches.
Those are some cool ass shorts. I will give you that. So,
well, that's a wrap.
All right, guys.
Let's
Thanks
get Big
as always.
Sexy back next week.
We'll be, yeah. Hopefully, he's recovered from the fight. I mean, you saw that video he took. He kind of got caught up in the middle of it. I mean, more power to him to being for being the man that kind of stood at the end.
He was in a cockfight. He was. In a cockfight.
And that's so. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Follow the show on Twitter at SHOOTINSHT, and thanks for listening.